Welcome back here to the What's Cooking program, weekend edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. I'm Michael Horn. That is Paul Stern, the nation's food, wine, restaurant, travel, and entertainment show. We're being entertained by our guest, Milt Larson, who, along with his brother, put together the Magic Castle, 47 years ago, Milt, and this is one of the attractions in Hollywood. How do you get into the Magic Castle?
Well, there's this front door.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Milt Larson, 2 shows nightly. Try the veal.
Well, the way you do that, actually, it's a private club, and you can't get in unless you're a member or a guest of a member. But we have, we give guest cards. And I tell you what, if your listeners will promise to listen to my show at 4 o'clock on Sunday, hear them again for the first time, and drop me a note, I will send them a guest card.
Oh, that's great. So you have to know someone who's a member to get a guest card to get in. And we're going to talk about your show again in just a second here. But how do they get in contact with you, Milt?
Through that. I mean, you can do that or...
Drop it here at info@crni.net?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And just drop me a note, and I will put a guest card in the mail to them, and that will allow them to come in with, I think it's up to 4 or 5 guests or something like that.
All right, you can also send a note to Milt Larson at our regular address, which is Post Office Box 433, Sunland, S-U-N. There's your sun, L-A-N-D. There's your land, California, 91041. Post Office Box 433, Sunland, California, 91041. Or you can contact Milt at info@crni.net. Now, Milt, you do the show Sundays called Hear Them Again for the First Time. And again, tell us about this show. Now, you play these old songs. You got the 78 RPM records. You play.
Yeah, I love to play the old 78s because, people today, anything prior to about 1960, they just don't play them anymore. And I play records from 1900 to 1960, and most of them are the old 78s. I play an occasional modern record like an LP, but I play mainly show business personalities, and I do a lot of comedy stuff. I love this particular show. I've got a record by Frank Crummett, which is
Frank Crummett.
I'm a Specialist, and it's all about outhouses. He's building an outhouse. So Dick Sherman and I wrote a wonderful song, and they've shot him in the outhouse, which was the true legend of Jesse James, which is by the Spike Jones alumni band and stuff. So I play a lot of comedy, and one of the segments on the show is Richard M. Sherman, which is Richard M. of the Sherman Brothers, who's got 2 Academy Awards and 9 nominations and every other award you can
Wow.
get.
He wrote Super Cats
Mary Poppins, and
yeah.
And of course that's on Broadway now as a stage show. And he does 15 minutes with me every weekend and talk about the obscure songwriters, the ones you never hear of, but you know all their songs. And it's just a fun show.
For some of our younger listeners, do you ever get in a Rudy Valley tune?
Oh, sure.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right.
For some of the younger listeners, that's good. Paul, what time is the show on? 4 o'clock on Sundays?
That would be correct, Mike. 4 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
7 o'clock Eastern time. You can check it out. And you've got a new show idea coming up as well, don't you?
Well, what I thought would be kind of fun to do is, I say Richard Sherman and I have done many shows. He's with me every week. Actually, today he's in Australia plugging the opening of Mary Poppins there. But he comes in, we record 2 or 3 at a time when he's in town. And it's all about the songwriters that people don't know about. You know all about Irving Berlin and Cole Porter and the Gershwins and everything, but you don't know about obscure people that wrote all the songs that you hear every day, but you never know who wrote them, So we just talk about those guys, give a little history, and Richard is a walking encyclopedia of the history of music because his father was a very big popular songwriter, and Richard, of course, and his brother, statistically, the 2 of them wrote more songs for motion picture musicals than any other team because they wrote all the songs for Disney.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, did you write that?
And they wrote the world's biggest earworm. They call earworm a song that you can't get out of your head. And
ladies and gentlemen,
the number 1 earworm, according to Reader's Digest, was It's a Small World After All.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, wow, he
And
wrote
they
that?
hide when people mention
Oh,
it.
my
because,
gosh, yes, you
my
should,
God,
because
they're
that
saying
could
again, yeah.
drive you crazy if you hear that. And their father, who was their father?
He was Al Sherman,
Oh.
and he wrote songs like "You Gotta Be a Football Hero" and "No, No, 1,000 Times No," and "Ho Ho Ha Ha Me Too." I mean, these old songs, but he wrote them in the 20s and the 30s, you know.
And of course, for many people, they'll be hearing those songs on your show for the very first time.
What?
For many people, they'll be hearing these songs on your program for the first time.
Yeah, hear them again for the first time. Very good. And
No, that's my whole theory, is that younger people, and I've got a lot of young listeners that like the show because they're introduced to these wacky records sometimes, or great performances. You know, I play a lot of Al Jolsons and Bing Crosby's and things, but they're all from the old days, and I love the music of the 20s and the 30s, and you know, it's just an awful lot of fun.
all right, so let's hear them again for the first time. You can hear it on CRN every Sunday at 4 o'clock Pacific Time, 7 Eastern. Is that also replayed on CRN4, Paul Stern? I believe we have it on a new time on CRN4.
I will double check and look into that,
We'll
Mike.
give you that in just a second. And I believe that show's heard like twice on the weekend, and the new show coming up. What are you going to call the new show?
Right now, we don't know.
I like that title. We don't know, ladies and gentlemen, and that will be coming your way soon. And what's the website?
We're going to call it something like the world's most famous song is by the most
Thank you, Milt Larson.
songwriters.
Hounded by debt collectors with phone calls and letters? Thinking of calling a debt relief company? Don't. Greedy lawyers and debt companies